Good morning, students. Welcome to our fourth lecture of Introduction to Python. Today we are going to cover arrays. Before going further, let me check that we have covered data types, operators, and a basic installation and general information regarding Python. So our today topic will be arrays. Arrays is considered to be one of the most important topic when we go for a numerical simulation or any physical problem solution. So our today's target will be an introduction to array, introduction to NumPy module, NDArray which is a part of NumPy module, automatic creation of arrays, generation of random numbers, providing numerical ranges to array, broadcasting an array, extracting diagonal values from array, indexing and slicing of array, copies and views, masking of arrays, the difference between arrays and matrices, and basic operation on arrays and matrices. So without wasting any time, let us start to arrays. So introduction. So most often during scientific computation, a series of numbers needs to be operated upon together. We know that list is a data type that stores a sequence of values. All the elements of list can be accessed by their index, but individual list elements can belong to any data type, which we have covered in our last lecture. Hence, a new kind of object needs to be defined, which is similar to list but that stores only numeric values, and this data type is called array. So this data type is not a built-in function of Python, but it is within the module NumPy, and so NumPy module is required whenever we are working with array. The NumPy module carries a unique object class called array. It carries member elements of only one data type. The concept of using arrays to store numerals gave rise to a powerful idea of array-based computation. The origins of these methods can be traced back to matrix algebra. Well, you know that matrix is a collection of number. Similar to matrices, arrays can be multidimensional and can be operated on by operators defined in same way that are for matrices. Using matrices, problem involving system of equation can be solved in one instance. Using the method of indexing of elements, particular elements can be accessed for operations. Using the concept of slicing, array dimensions can be altered as per requirements. Using operators acting on this object, mathematical formulation can be implemented. So, in today's lecture, we will discuss about how arrays means how we can do mathematical computation on arrays using Python. So our next topic is NumPy package. As you know, the NumPy package contains various items that can be used for numerical computation of within Python, and stands for the NumPy stands for numerical Python, which is symbolic representation of numerical computation of using Python. So NumPy has been originated from numeric, which is originally created by Jim Hugnin with contributions from several other developers. Travis Oliphant created NumPy in 2005 by incorporating features of computing num array and into numeric with extensive modification. NumPy is released under an open source license, so it is open to you, and so it is available in Python too. Just like any other Python module, NumPy can be installed in any of the compiler or in any of the OS of Python using pip install NumPy. Well, in Anaconda and other IDE, NumPy is already available. So, if you want to know what is the version of NumPy, you can by default check it on your Python module. So let us open our IPython console and let us check that what is the version of NumPy. So in my IPython console, if I write regarding this NumPy, if I want to know what is the version of NumPy, first of all I have to import NumPy. After importing NumPy, I have to know the version of numpy, I have to write this particular statement, print, and then numpy version. Hope it's work. So my current version of numpy is 1.19.1, which is the we can say that it is the newest version of numpy. So if it is not, then you can update it using pip install numpy dash dash upgrade, which we have already covered in our first lecture. So moving forward, so let me explain the each line of this code. So here line 1 imports the whole module called numpy for our use. Line 2 uses the function version, which is inbuilt function, uses which further version of the installed numpy system function in our system can be found. So if you want to check your Python numpy version, I will encourage you to do it, because when you go for operating this Python, means I mean to say, when I'm going to work on this coding part, if our version is different, then there are chances that output error will be there. So if we have the same version, it would be better. It is also important to note that importing a module is necessary for its uses, but once imported in a session, it doesn't need it to be imported each time it's used. However, if the session is restarted, it must be freshly imported. So I'm not going to close this particular dialog box of Python. If I restart it, I have to again import it. So in a particular session, only one time it has to be imported. Okay, let's move further to our next topic, which we are going to do today, that is ND array. So ND array is a part of NumPy package, as you know, is a main object of NumPy, which is homogeneous. Homogeneous means it contains only one data type of all its member elements. The elements are created using the array function of NumPy. This function need to be listed as input. Elements are indexed by tuple of positive integers. So let me explain you how to do this type of particular thing. So by opening this thing, okay. So for example, if I initially if I write this as I said, I have to write a particular statement 1 2 3. This is my double a 1 2 3. So it is a type of list actually. So let me check the type. It is a list actually, so let's say it's a list. Now we have already imported numpy. Now let me say that b is equal to numpy dot array. Array is the function from which you can generate an array. 1 2 3. It's the same. So here it is, b is created, so it is an array. So if you check type b, you will say it is a numpy ND array. This is a type of thing which I want to show you. Another statement which we need to see this numpy.d type means b.d type, and it will give me integer 32. So this is a 32 integer type of array. Now let me again write another statement. For example, if I generate one more array called c, similar to b, I generate array c, but it is in float type. Okay, so here c is array 1.2.3. And if I now, instead of bd type, if I write cd type, it will give me type float 64-bit. So this example shows how list and arrays in NumPy are created differently. The NumPy object array takes a list as an input. The data type of elements can be assigned by the Python interpreter at the time of interpretation of in a dynamic fashion. Alternatively, the data type can be defined as a at the time of creation also, and using second argument of the array function. That means you can also define data type in this in the next example. For example, if I say where is a here, for example, let me write another variable, that is a1, its numpy array, and here I have written a d type float. So it is a float type of array 1 2 3. In the previous example, if you have checked b, this b is also an array of 1 2 3, the same array, but the difference is it is integer 32 type. Now if I write a1, it will give me this type of array, and if I go for this a1d type data type of a1, it will be float 64. The same thing happens for another data type too. For example, instead of a1, if I go for a2, let me say a2, and I want to write complex. Complex is also one of the data types which we have already discussed previously. Complex. So here a2 has been created, but it is a complex type of data type. And now in data type d type a1 dot d type, if I write a2 dot d type, it was complex 128 bit. So ND array is a type of thing which we have to which is important by creation of array. So let's move further. ND array is also known by its alias array. Apart from knowing the data type by using d type, there are variety of methods to get information about various attributes of ND array, which I am already showing you on the table. If you can see here, the ND array d type is used for data type of elements, and dim, that is for dimension of array, shape to know the size of the shape of the array, sorry, size to understand know the size of the array, item size means size in bytes of 8 elements, and dot data is used for buffering data for an actual element, reshape for reshaping the array, it's on 3 cross 3 to 3 cross 2 cross 6, like that. Okay. So for example, if you want to use all this method, let us try all these functions of n means array numpy, and let us try it in our IPython console. Let me first clear the command window. Okay, then I'm opening this Python session. Now first of all, let me create a 3 by 3 array. It's important in NumPy. Let me create a 3 by 3 array. For example, a3 numpy dot array, and I am going to create a 3 by 3 array. So let me say 1 2 3 is one of this, then 4 5 6 is the second one line, and so 2 7 8 is the third one. Okay, and after closing it, so this is used for defining an array. So as per REPL terms, REPL will print the array in this format: 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 2 7 8. Now if you want to know to check the dimension of array, the a3 dot and dim, as I have already mentioned in the table, and you will get the dimension of array. It is a two-dimensional array. How? See, the number if the dimension of a true, that is, it can be described in terms of rows and columns. But what is the dimension of array is 2, because it is a two-dimensional array. It is not a 3D array, it is a 2D array. Okay, it doesn't show you the rows and columns. If you want to check the rows and columns or the size, we have to use the function size. It's size 3. If you want to know what is inj mn, then you have to write shape, and it will give you a 3 cross 3 matrix. In the similar manner, I have already shown you that how to know the data type, and it will give you D type integer 32. This is 32-bit integer. If you want to check the allocation, the memory location where the array is stored in the system, you can write data a3.data, and it will give memory at this particular location in the RAM it has been stored. If you want to know the bytes of each element, the item size can be used. Item size can be used, and it will show you that it covers 4 bytes of for each element. If you want to reshape the array in 1 cross 9 instead of 3 cross 3, let's say I want to reshape in 1 comma 9. This is the proper method to reshape it, that a3 will be reshaped to 1.9 1 comma 9 1 by 9 array. The array will be converted to 1 by 9 in this manner. Now if you want to convert it to 9 to 1, so I'm saying from row to column, the column to row matrix, in simple terms, you can go for it 9 to 1, and it will give you a new matrix with 9 rows and 1 column. It's simple. So now here, for one example, let's test whether it is true or false. That is our operator section of a3 dot reshape 9 comma 1 is, this is in our last lecture if you remember it, a3 dot reshape 1 comma 9, whether they both are same or not, it will give me output of false, because both arrays have different shape. This is the thing which you have already discussed in our previous lecture. I am just using it here to make it more clear that in how many different forms we can use operators, in how many different forms we can use arrays. Now moving to our next section, that is automatic creation of array. So there are different type of functions which we'll discuss here. Zeros, ones like empty, empty like I, identity, full, full like. There are numerous functions. Let us check it in the NumPy session. Sorry, not NumPy session, but in our Python console. So first of all, let me clear the window screen, and now let us begin. So we know that various function, here we are going to try various functions that will directly create an array of your dimension. So first of all, the zeros function. To create an array where all elements are zeros, we use zeros function. It's quite simple. So we will write numpy dot zeros and bracket, there must be 2 columns, that is 3 comma 4, okay, and of array of zeros will be created. Now this is by default a float type of array, just for your understanding, for your clarity, it is a float type of array. Now if you want to convert this float type of array to integer type, you have to just write d type is equal to int and enter. It is integer type. If you want to convert into a complex type, instead of int you can write complex, and it will be a complex type of array. If you want it in a string, that is an array of empty string, you just have to write str and it will give you an empty string array. So this is the type of array which has to be created. It is already understandable. So during the initialization of 0 value for matrix computation, zeros function is used extensively, which has to be remembered by you. Now the next option is ones. If I want to create ones array with all element 1, now instead of 0, instead of 0 I will write 1. Same function, I will just convert the zeros to ones, and it will give me all one array. In the similar manner, I will do all these things with which I have done with zeros, and it will give me the same output with 1. It's quite simple. So let's move further. It is interesting to observe that complex number complex number is equivalent to 1 in mathematical, but the data type determines the way in which the data will be stored in the computer memory, as well as how it will be operated using operators. So it should be used judicially whenever you are using complex value for one type of array once. Now the next topic will be ones like. Now what is the difference between ones of function and ones like function? So let us check it. Now let me first clear this window. Now first of all, let me clear a array a equal to numpy dot array. I am creating an array with size, or we can say there is a 2D array float type of 1.1 comma 2.2 comma 4.1, close it, comma another dimension 2.5 comma 5.2 comma 6.4. It's a random generation, that is no another type, it's just an example. So when you in RAPL representation, it will be this type of array. Now I'm going to create a function. Once like is used if you want to create an array which is similar to the array A with same size, same shape, but elements only equal to 1. I will write once underscore like A, and it will give me an array with similar dimension, but elements will be different. Elements will be equal to 1. If I want to convert it into complex, I will write d type equal to complex, and I will get a complex number. Similar with the string. Similar with the string, but in string the empty array will not be created, it will be once, because we are saying that it is a one type of array. Okay, but if you want to create an empty array, you have to just use the function numpy dot empty. For example, if I am going to write 2 comma 2 and what is this, it should has to be generated. Why I have made a mistake, I think. Numpy dot empty, it should create, cannot interpret 2 as a data. I think there is a mistake in this. numpy numpy dot 2 comma 2. To create a 2 by 2 array with 0. I will check it and let you know further that why it is giving me an error. Actually, it should generate a 0 array, and we will check it and we will see. I think this data type is almost near to 0, because it is 10 raised to 316 and it is 10 raised to 312. It is by default, and maybe I have to check the sign. 2 comma, if I write integer, then it will work. Is showing some error. There is some error, I don't know why, and there is some error. I have to check it and I will let you know further. Similarly, if you want to create an empty like array, which we have created in further example, that is a equal to numpy array. This is an array And if you want to create a numpy array similar to type of this but with element 0, you have to write numpy dot empty like a sorry, my typing mistake. Numpy dot empty like a, and it will give empty. Why the empty function is not working, which you have to see. I will check it and let you know. It would work, but maybe in this recent numpy function the empty like function has been changed. We will see. Now let's move further for the I matrix, which is also called as identity matrix. So identity matrix in which a two-dimensional array diagonal elements are valued equal to 1. The function takes the second argument as the index of the diagonal. 0 indicates the central diagonal of the central diagonal. A positive number means moving a designated number of steps in a vertical upward direction. A vertical number means moving a designated number of steps in a vertical downward direction. So that is nothing but what I want to say is that in I matrix, a positive number means moving a designated number of steps in a vertical upward direction, and negative number means moving designated steps in a vertical downward direction, which we'll see in this in particular example. Let me just clear the function first, or clear the element first, and numpy dot I, let me say n is equal to 3, a 3 dimension means 3 by 3 matrix, and k equal to 0, and it will give you an identity matrix. Similarly, now k is equal to 0, instead of k is equal to 0, k equal to 1, the output will be like this. That is what that one does say. Then by using a positive number, it will shift upward, and if I use a negative number, it will shift downward, which you can see here. Okay. In a similar manner, if you take -1, you can take -2, then it will move again downward. Similarly, if instead of -2, if you take +2, it will move 2 type upward. So by default, it is a float type. If you want to change a data type, you can directly use it using d type equal to int. Okay, and it will give you an integer. If you want to take complex, if you want to write a string, means a data type in string, you can use the similarity function. Now there is also a function called identity matrix. There is not much difference with identity matrix or I matrix, but is equivalent to, they are equivalent, but it gives you a diagonal matrix only like I, but like I, it doesn't have this what we say, it doesn't have this positive or negative. It means you can't move upward or forward using this positive or negative numbers in key in the next in the function. Okay. Let's check the identity matrix. Numpy dot identity is a 4-dimensional. Let's use size 4 and if you want to change, you can change d type to int, and it will give you output in integer. Similar for complex, similar for string. So it is equivalent to it. Now the matrix comes as full. What is a full type of full function? How it is used? A full function fills a particular data in to all elements position. For example, numpy dot full. Okay, now in this I have a matrix of size 3 by 2. Okay, I want to fill data 10.5, and but my data type is int. Okay, so it will generate a 3 by 2 matrix array of with elements 10. Now if I remove this data type function, you know that the data type function, it will give me a float, because by default arrays are in float type. If you write integer instead of integer, if you write complex, it will generate this type of output. Similarly, there is a function called full like empty, like one, like full, like, and it will also generate an output which is similar to uh, this output. For example, numpy dot full like, I already the function of a, and it will generate output. I don't know why empty like is not working or why empty function is not working, but there must be some error which I have to, the inbuilt error which I have to check, and I will let you know. Okay. Now random number generation. Okay, now the next topic is random arrays. In random arrays, you will see how to generate arrays with number, integer, floating point for our different choice, and how to distribute arrays as per beta, binomial, and normal distribution function. Okay. So let's move further and step by step in random arrays. So I want to go through the screen. Let me show you this. So these are the topics which you are going to do, and we will see how to use the random distribution like beta, binomial, or normal distribution with arrays. Okay. Let's move further with our random numbers portion. Okay, let me first clear this command window. Okay. So for example, you want to create a random array of size 4 by 4 or 1 by 4 or 3 by 3, any size. For example, if I want to create a random number, numpy dot random dot rand, and for size 4, the output will be an array of dimension 1 by 4, 1 row, 4 columns. If you want to create an array of size 4 by 4, you can create in this. Now it will give a random number generation. It should be understand that this particular function r, a, and d comes inside the sub package random within numpy. To get complete details of this wonderful package, we could use the uh, function help. In help, you have to write numpy dot random, and you will get a list of functions that is available within all this type of thing. What are the functions that is available in random? You can see each and every details, the parameters with explanation and examples, everything is available in the help function. Okay, so again let me clear the screen because it is covering a whole lot of area. Okay, now we have seen that how help gives documents which describe a rich library of functions to create random numbers as per choice. So NumPy is a good choice of library for simulation work, which I have already mentioned earlier. Now the distribution depends on the properties of the system which you are going to study. Now the next point is random integer. So if I want to generate instead of random number, if I want to generate a random array of with integer, I will use a function like random underscore integer or rand functions. So the latter needs the first input as a starting element, as the starting of the limit, and the second as the ending of the limit. That is important. So let's start. Okay, as I have mentioned, there are two type of functions available. Now numpy dot random. In random, I'm going to use random integers function. For example, lower side it is 10. I haven't defined anything else. So let's move further. What will be the output? It will generate a random integer. I haven't defined the size, so it won't give me a size. Entry point output will be 1. see, the function is deprecated. Please call array and int because it is used in Python instead of integer. Int, and it will generate an output. So as shown by the console that this function has been not used in Python 3 or in previous version. So we have to use the function rnd which I've already mentioned you that there are two types of function, random underscore integer and another one is rnd int function. So now the first elements will show you what is the lowest value up to which value you have to use this. The second function that is in this, instead of n, if I say the lower value will be 0, the higher value will be 5, and the size of matrix will be 1 by 3. The maximum number of elements I want to say is 3. So let's say the output will be in a simple manner. So it will generate a value between 0 to 5 randomly. Okay, between 0 to 5 it will generate an output, and there will be 3 elements in the array. That's the thing. Instead of 0 to 5, if I write 2 to 5, it will generate output between 2 to 5 and there will be 3 elements. Now instead of 5, if I write 50, it will generate output between 2 to 50. Okay. Now instead of this single dimension matrix, if you want to write a 2-dimension matrix, instead of 1 by 3 I want to write 3 by 3, then my output will be like this, and it will generate a matrix, an array, sorry, not a matrix, it's an array. Once again, an array of size 3 by 3 array, and all the elements will be between 2 to 50 and they are randomly generated. If I run it again, the output will be different. So random integer has to be generated in the similar manner. If you want to write a floating point number, if you want to generate an array of floating point numbers, random floating point numbers, instead of int you can write ft for floating point, ranf, random floating point function, and the array size will be different. For example, this is not actually required, it will generate a random array of 3 by 3 floating point elements. So this is quite simple. So for example, if you want to generate an array of 20 elements, uh, it will generate an array of 20 elements, a single dimension, not a multi-dimension. Okay. Let's move further. Of next function is random choice. So given one array, and there is another array which can be generated with its elements, with the elements that is available in the previous array, the targeted array. The output for generation of this type of array, we will use random choice function. Okay, so let me clear the screen first. Now for example, a is an array which we are generating, numpy dot array, and the elements are like 1 to 6, just randomly writing these numbers. Okay, so a is an array with this elements 1 to 6. Okay, it is our target array. Now from our target array we want to define an array of a random choice but of size less than it. For example, now what we will do, we will write numpy dot random choice, and my target array is 3, a, and my dimension is 3. So I want to generate a subset of this array a. Okay, but all the elements, since I am talking about subset, all the elements must be within the targeted array. The output will be A351. It will never come out of this array. Again, I am running this again, the output will be different, but it can repeat the output. The output can be repeated. So while using this function random choice, no doubt a subset is not an exact example, exact word to say, but for only for understanding, it will generate an array from the target array using the number of elements. Instead of 3, if I write 13, it will generate an array of size 1 by 13 with the elements available in the target array A. Okay, now I want to shuffle this array. There is a function called shuffle, shuffle, which shuffle the contents of an array. Now it's just a example. For example, uh, let me say that A is a array let me generate a random number so that between 0 to 10, and the size of the array will be, let's say, 10 by 10. Okay, so this is, I'm generating a random array of 10 of shape size 10 by 10. So this is my array. I have generated an integer array. I want to shuffle A. I will write numpy random shuffle, and my target array will be A. I want to shuffle this array. Now the content of A will be shuffled. If you can check the first column, that is 91149, it will 99118 something. It has been shuffled totally. If you want to premute a sequence, you can use the function permutation that is available in random. In permutation, for example, instead of shuffle, I will write permutation of array A. There is an array. Oh, sorry, it is not. And there is a error. It is my spelling mistake. Sorry. Permutation. So it will give me an array generated as per the output. It will just function randomly make a sequence 804010 like that sequence. Okay, now let us go for a beta distribution. If you want to generate an array with beta distribution, now you know that the function, just for an explanation, that random dot beta is a function which return an array that follows beta distribution function. Now this beta distribution function often encounters in Bayesian interference. No, sorry, Bayesian inference and other statistics. So it's a function. If you search online, the function will be like 1 upon b, means array 1 upon alpha beta x raised to alpha minus 1 minus x raised to beta minus. That's the function of Bayesian inference. Now if you want to generate a beta distribution function array with beta distribution function, like in every case we will write numpy dot random dot beta. The first will be A, the second will be B, A and B, which is required for computation, and the third will be the size of the array, and it will generate an array A. Okay, the output of A will be as per the function output. This is only for the generation of beta distribution function. In the similar manner, you can use a binomial function for distribution. Now it will returns an array that follows binomial distribution. That is, the samples are drawn from a binomial distribution with specified parameters. Number of trials will be distributed by n. Number of probability of success will be given, and there will be an n number of integer, and the interval will be given as per the probability of success between 0 to 1. Okay, so let us consider that in this case we have 50 trials and a probability of success is 80%. Okay, so I want to generate a binomial distribution function with 50 trials and probability of success 80%. Okay, so first of all I will write n equal to 50, p equal to 80%, so it would be 0.8. Okay, and now I want to generate a array numpy random binomial and or t comma the size, that is 10. So it will be generated and output will be like this. This is the binomial distribution of the current case in which we have considered there will be 50 trials and probability of success is 80. Now if I want to convert this 50 trials to, let's say, instead of 50 I will go for 100 trials and the probability of success is 50% only. So n and p will be changed. This is one of the way to represent variables in to assign a variable in Python. You can write the number of variables is with comma separated and the value will be assigned as per comma separated. Now if I run the function which I've used previously, np10, and again a, the output will change the probability of success as per the result. The next distribution function which is very used in Python is the normal distribution function. The normal distribution function follows the Gaussian distribution with a fixed mean and standard deviation and can generate it by using the function random.random, or you can also say random.normal. Okay, so let me use this function. I want there would be a mean and standard deviation will be provided, and I want to generate a random function of 20. The output will be an array of Gaussian distribution using random.normal. Now instead of 20 numbers I want to generate a array of 2 by 3. Instead of 20 I want to generate an array of 2 by 3. Nothing changes. The output will be this. Okay, there are many distribution available in NumPy package and you can check it using the help function. The only way to call this distribution function is numpy.random.subpackage, the name of the package. In our case we have seen 3 examples. The 3 examples like beta distribution function, we use numpy.random.beta. For Gaussian distribution or normal distribution we use numpy.random.normal. Then for the second one which we have used is binomial distribution, and for that we use the function numpy.random.binomial. So in this manner, for any other type of distribution you can write the sub package name after random. Okay, so let's move forward to our next topic, that is ranges. Numerical ranges. Numerical ranges are used for creating a sequence of numbers in an integral part of a numerical computation. A variety of functions exist to create a desired sequence of number automatically as per defined rule. For example, in order to create a range of number, we use the function arange. Similarly, in order to create linear space number, line space function has been used. For creating logarithmic space number, log space function is used. Similarly, match grid, M grid, and O grid has been used. So let us check each example related to this function and clear our concept. So first of all, let me clear the screen, Windows screen. Now as you can see, our first example would be in order to understand how a range of number is been allotted. So the syntax for automatically generating a range of number from starting point to a top point with a step size is required. And a range follows this syntax. The first element in a range indicates the start point. The second element indicates the stop point, and the third element is the step size as written here. And the output will be as follows. It runs from 1 to 9 or 1 to 10 with a step size of 0.5. But the end point has been not added. Similarly, if I change the step size to 1, the output will be with a difference of 1, but the end point will not be considered. Okay. We can also check this output with this function np_arrange in bracket 10, and the output will be from 0 to 9. Here we have defined the start and stop point, but by default it takes start point as 0, which is a default point, and step size 1 is equal 1 as a default. You can also you can also generate a complex number using arrange, sequence of complex number using arrange. For example, I want to create a range size of point with step size 0.1, start point 1 and stop point 10. Let for just example, let me try it. Now we have to here define the data type equal to complex, or an error will be generated. It is not compulsory that error will be generated, but there are chances that by default arrange will not take this. So what happens when we run this command? And here we can see that it generates output with 0.1 range up to 1.9. There is no change in this output. It takes output up to 1.9. The next example is related to linear space numbers. So when arrange gives you a good control over step size, you cannot specify the number of elements in an array. To solve this issue, we use linspace number function, linspace. In linspace, we have uh, five inputs to the function. The first one is the start point. The second one will be the stop point. Third one will be the total number of elements which you required, and then number of endpoints, and the last is data type. So the number of points that you required in array, it generates by default. For example, let me say I am generating a line space from starting point 1 and end point. That is stop point is 10 with a different with a number of points I required in array to be 5. So it would be like this: number of points I want equal to 5. The output will be like this. It will generate an array with 5 elements spaced by default 1, 3, 1, 5, 5.5, 7.5, 10. Similarly, if I convert instead of 5, if I write 10, the output will be with a difference of 1. The major difference between line space and arrange is that the endpoint, that is number 10, has been considered as one of the output. which has been excluded in arranged function. Now the one more point that is required is the endpoint function, which is used as the input. For example, in this line, if I add one more established one more element, that is endpoint, which is equal to false, and the output, what does the endpoint signifies is that endpoint says whether the endpoint is required or not. If you run the output, number of points will be 10, and without including endpoint, it will not include endpoint. That is the reason. And then enter. So it will ignore the endpoint value, and if I by default it is true, but if you're not required, if you require it, you can just write it. Oh, and the output will be C. By default, the endpoint is true. Now move towards the logarithmic space number. The logarithmic space number is mainly used when you require a logarithmic axis of endpoints. It's when you plot a graph, you want to plot a log normal graph. At that time, logarithmic space number is much more used. The syntax is similar to the previous examples. For example, the syntax will cover for this. If I comment it and I write the syntax here, the syntax is quite similar. It requires start point, requires stop point, the number of points which is required, endpoint by default it is true, but you can also provide it the base, whether it is log base 10, 5, 9, natural log, and data type, whether it is complex data type, integer data type, or float data type. Okay. So similarly, as I have already explained, you can directly give this number. For example, numpy.log space 1, 10. 1 is the start point, 10 is the stop point, and num, that is total number of points that you required, is. So this particular line will generate 3 logarithmic space points between 1 and 10. So let's see what will be the output. It output will be 1, 3, and 1 into 10. So similarly, you can change the number of elements to 5, and the output will differ in this manner. You can also change the endpoint value to false, and you can also try it with true, and you can see the difference also. For example, if I by default it is true, but now if I set it false, the output will change and it will not take 10 as an output. Now we talk about MaxGrid command, the MaxGrid function. The MaxGrid function is similar to the MATLAB MaxGrid command. If you are aware of MATLAB MaxGrid, it works in similar manner. It will generate a MaxGrid depending on the input. For example, to generate a MaxGrid command, we have to first create a grid. For example, let's take X to be linear space between 1 and 3 with 3 elements. So now xx will be 1, 2, and 3. Similarly, y be with 3 element, another linear spaced element, and let y be from 2 to 4 be 3 element, and so y will be 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now if I generate a MaxGrid of AB using x and y, I have to write the command AB equal to numpy MaxGrid in bracket x and y. The output will generate a MaxGrid of this 2 element, that is A will be different 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and B will be this 2, 3, 4, 2. So it will generate a MaxGrid. So it generates a 2-dimensional coordinate system where x-axis is given by the first argument, that is x, and y-axis is given by the second argument, that is y. This is as per the example I am explaining. This function is used while plotting 3-dimensional plot, or defining a function, or defining two variables defined on 2 variables. So similar to MaxGrid, there are other grids also available, that is M grid and O grid. So mgrid and ogrid are used to create mesh directly, that is without using line space, arange or so on. It uses simple statement. Means in mesh grid function we have to generate x-axis array, we have to generate. In mgrid we don't require this simple function for a mgrid. Just let me give you an example. So in the similar manner, let's say a comma b and numpy mgrid. Okay, so it will generate this is the syntax of it. For example, the first will be x-axis. For x-axis I want up to 1 to 10, and for y-axis I want up to 2 to 5. We have to use the colon here. It will construct a grid where x-axis has point from 1 to 10 and y-axis has point from 2 to 5. Okay, so it will construct a multi-dimensional mesh grid. And let's say what will the output. A will be 1 to 9, B will be 2 to 4. It includes the endpoint here. Similarly, ogrid is also used. Let us check the example of ogrid. Now how ogrid changes. Now instead of AB, if I write mgrid, I convert it to ogrid, that is from origin, and here 0 to 10, here 0 to 5. So A will be 0 to 9, B will be 0 to 4. So as you know, what I want to explain is ogrid is used for original purpose. Mesh grid, mgrid is used for creating mesh. Ogrid is used for creating one-dimensional graph. The next important topic here is tile function, which I want to explain. Now the tile function is used mainly to construct smaller array from bigger array. For example, if you form a target array of a smaller size, a bigger array can be constructed using the tile function, and vice versa. Tile does nothing but this tile function makes a copy of an existing array by the defined number of times. You ask tile function to multiply, means to repeat the number 3 times, so it will repeat the new array with 3 times the number repeated. Let's check an example and how it works. Okay, first of all, let me clear the command window. So as our previous example, here we will also go for the array A. Now let us say that A is the array numpy array 1 2 3. So by REPL notation, it will generate an array of 1 2 3. Now another array B will be generated from A. This will be a bigger array, but A will be the target array and it should be repeated 3 times. So array A is repeated 3 times to make a new array B, and the output will be 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. That is the array. Okay, another example to do the same for two-dimensional array is using an I matrix. That is A1 is equal to by I, that is 4. Okay, so A1 will be this. Now if I want to create the two-dimensional array from this array, I can use the tile function. So A1 is this. A2 will be numpy.tile A1 comma 2. Okay, so A2 will be this array. Now this is quite simple, that A1 is in first dimensional only, that is row wise. Okay, now to create A2 that is similar to a 2 dimension, that is repeat A1 in both dimension. If I want to do like that, what I will do in the previous example, instead of 2 I will give it a 2 dimension input, that is 2 by 2. So now A2 will be in 2 dimension. it is quite difficult to understand it in this type of in 1D display. But when you go for plotting, when you are creating a 3D plot or animation model, during that time this type of operations are required, which we will discuss in our plotting section, how we are going to use mesh grid function, grid and grid function, similarly tile function to generate a 3D plot and other examples. Let's clear it. So moving towards the next topic, that is broadcasting. So as you know, basic operations on NumPy arrays are element wise. This means that the dimension of the array should be compatible for the desired operation. For example, a 2 array and 2 array would be for example 2 arrays would be incompatible, as the first array have fewer columns than the second one. Okay, at that point broadcasting is used. So broadcasting what do, it enables array, for example let's say array A is about 4 cross 4 size, is to be added to an array to 4 cross 1. Even though there will be a size difference, broadcasting enables array A, which is of different dimension m cross n, and array B, which is of different dimension and m cross O, to produce a array C, that is m cross n. Let us check it by an example here. Okay, this is one of the feature of Python that is available. Let me open the console. After clearing this, let us check how this example works. So first of all, we will go for a simple example only. So let's say A is an simple identity matrix, a 4 cross 4 matrix. Okay, and B is another array with which is not an identity matrix, it is 1 cross 4 array. Okay, so A and B. Now by rule, A and B cannot be added directly without any specific function, but Python has its own unique feature that it will allow array A and B to add. This is called a broadcast. Let's say the shape of A is 4 by 4, the shape of B is 4 comma 1, but the shape of C will be 4 by 4. We can also check the another example. For example, another example like again let me say, I will first of all let me clear this. A is equal to this, you know what is A, that is A is this. So now let's say B is another, let's say instead of 1 2 3 4, I will say B is a floating point number, which is numpy.array.10. So B is this 1 to 10, 1 means 10 10 10. So the output of the array will be something like that, that C is equal to B. It is possible in Python. So 4 cross 4 matrix can be operated with a 4 cross 1 matrix by making an invisible element of 0. This is all is possible due to the broadcasting feature of Python. It is not available in all the programming platform. Okay, to the next topic, that is diagonal elements. So extract any diagonal elements. So the diagonal elements of a given array or a matrix can be obtained using the diag function. So you can choose a diagonal using the second argument. By default the value is 0, which indicates the main diagonal. Okay, but a positive value indicates that you are moving upward and a negative value indicates that you are moving downward. This is similar to using I matrix that I have already mentioned earlier, that positive and negative is similar to I, but this is for extraction purpose. While the in I matrix, by using +1 -1, you shift to the matrix, you shift to the array values to upward and downward. Here using positive and negative value, you select a particular diagonal value for extraction purpose. So let us check it with an example. Okay. In our Python console, first of all, clear our console. Now let me create a diagonal identity matrix, because most of the identity matrices are diagonal. Okay, so A is this with one all diagonals. Now I want to extract the main diagonal. Okay, by default numpy the diag function will extract the main diagonal, that is all elements with 1. The array will be 1. Now instead of this, I want to extract the diagonal elements that are in the upward direction. Okay, the output will be 0 0 0 0, the upward direction. Okay, now instead of +1, if I go for -1, it will generate to the downward direction, that is 0 0 0. Okay, so actually it is taking diagonal this particular 0 0 0, and above diagonal if you go for -2, then it will take only 3 elements, that is the 3. So in this way diagonal has been, if you want to extract the diagonal values of a matrix, sorry, of an array, you can. Okay, moving towards the next topic, that is indexing. So indexing also is one of the most important topic in when we talk about numerical computation. So let's say the elements of an array or list start with 0 in Python, which is by default it is 0. So the first element is indexed with number 0. So you can access this number, these elements using the index number. So let us check with the example of Python. Okay, first of all, clear the screen. Now let me just generate an array, random array. Let me just create a string. By default I will write just a simple example of a is equal to 1 2 3 4 5 and let's say 6. Okay, so by default it is a list type of function. If you want to check this, you can use the type function, and it is a list type. I have created a list and I have stored a number 1 2 6. Similarly, I want to create an array reference from A. So B is an array that is equal to A using list reference. So now B is an array of 1 2 3 4 5. It is not a list. Okay, you can check the type by using the type function. It is an array. So if I want to access the first element of an array or first element of a list, I will write A in bracket 0. So the first element is 1. Similarly, if I want to access the second element, it will be 3. If I access the first element, it is 2. By default, Python starts with indexing number 0. So the 0th element, the first element, the second element, like that. Similar, it occurs with B2. The first element of B will that is the 0th element will be 1. The first element will be 2. In this manner you can also check it in the backward direction also, that is the -1 it is 6. See, -0 is not possible, so you start from -1 in the backward direction. Okay, so this example make it clear that array are similar to list and follow the same rules of indexing. So multi-dimensional array also follows the same pattern of index. For two-dimensional array, the first number indicates row, the second number indicates column. That has to be clear. So let me create a two-dimensional array. Say array A1. I have created array A1. First of all, let me clear this window. I will create array A1 with 1 2 3 and 3 2 1. Okay, yes. So there are two-dimensional. Now if I write A1, and it will be a 2D array. Now if I want to choose a element whose row is 1, and column is 2, that is the second row and third column. It should be, again I want to make it clear that Python starts indexing from 0, so the second row will be indexed by 1 and the third column will be indexed by 2. So I will write a1 and bracket 1 comma 2. The first element indicates row and second element indicates column, so it is 1, first, third column, second row, third column. In this way we can select the using indexes, the particular element using it. Indexes can also be used to assign a particular value to the element, so you can use the assignment operator along with this. For example, in this if I want to change the first element of array, that is 0 0 to, let's say actually it is 1, I will write 1000. So now the a1 will be 1000, so in this way you can do this. Next thing is about slicing. So slicing is among the first operation an array which we actually apply during computation. Slicing always employs an operator colon which is used to separate the data on the row. For example, if I will first of all let's clear and let us generate an array with range 1 to 10. Okay, and numpy array. So a1 is from 1 to 9. Sorry, just let me clear it again and let me generate an array a1. Okay, that is from this. So a1 will be from 0 to 9. By default it is from 0 to 9. Now to select the slicing is the selection of a particular range of array using index number, which is mainly very much useful in computational purpose. So what I will do, for example, if I want to select from index 0 to index 5, okay, so I will by default it will generate from index 0 to index 5. So here it will exclude the fifth element, that is the sixth element. By our rule, the fifth index number will be excluded and from 0 to 4 will be there. 0 1 2 3 4 will be there. But if you want to select from starting till index 5 excluding the index number, that is not always necessary to write 0. You can also write in this output will be the same. This is the flexibility that is available in Python. Okay. Now until the last index number, if you want to select any number until the last index number, you can use this. For example, from number 5 to this, it will go for up to the last index number. Okay. You can also give a step. For example, in here from 0 to index and up to 5 and a step of 2. That will be 0 2 and 4. What that is say is that the start point is 0th index number, the stop point will be the 5th index number, and you have to take a step of 2. The command will follow and slicing operation will be done. Slicing operation can also be accomplished for multi-dimensional array. Let's say here a tuple should be passed to define slicing for each desired dimension. Okay, for example, I run an array. Let's say we have array with a reference list. First of all, clear the command window, and we have array with reference 8.5. We have another array B with comments elements 5 to 9. Okay, now A1 is an array with elements from A to B. Okay, so it's a two-dimensional. 1 2 3 4 A1 is a two-dimensional. If you want to check the dimension, you can use the AND function. So I want to start collecting the elements from index number 0 to column index number 2. Okay, so what I will do, A1 and it will give me an output 1256. 1256, that is this one. Okay, in similar manner you can go for different slicing too. Instead of 0 to 2 you can go for 0 to 4, and instead of 0 to 2 you can go for 7 to 4. Okay, it slicing can be done. Okay. In the similar way you can also go for negative slicing. A similar logic can be applied for any dimensional array. So slicing became an extremely important tool for data filtering. In some cases we would like to work with only specific number of rows and specific number of columns. In that case slicing can be as per your requirement. In that case slicing can be used. Moving forward we will go about copying. I talked about slicing, now copies and views, and then we'll talk about masking. Okay, so copying and viewing is not much different in Python. For a memory usage point of view, the slicing operations create a view of original array. It doesn't whenever it is required. So you can verify this claim that slicing is not actually is actually not utilizing your memory by storing it for all purposes. When you establish a variable stores the value to a memory. Slicing thus allow to view you in a memory. Okay, so you can use NumPy may share memory. We can verify this claim. Let us see what happens here. So first of all, let me clear this. So you know that, for example, I generate an array from 0 to what I say array from 0 to 10. Okay, so a will be generated. This is a array will be generated. Now b is a array from 2 to 5. I sliced it to 2 to 5. B is an array. So let's say that how much memory space has been required. Is it sharing same memory space or not? So for that, may share memory is a function that will give you an output. So this particular function will inform you that whether a and b share the same memory space or not. So it is true that array a and b share the same memory space. Why? Because slicing doesn't create just memory space. It is just viewing, it is just showing you output from the original array, a view of original array, a particular view of original array. It is not actually utilizing any memory. So it is one of the good option when we are going for array, means when we are going for memory usage type of operation. Since it is only a view, if an element of a slice is modified, the original array is modified as well. It should be kept in a mind. Although this facility can be desirable, it can create a nuisance in certain problems. Consequently, we have also a function copy that provides a way out of copying the original array instead of providing a view. And so we use a copy. So let's say now C is a function, sorry, C is a variable with a now 2 to 5. This is a proper method to write copy, and it will then copy the function. So C is actually utilizing an array, utilizing a memory. And when you write this command a and C, it will say false, because C is actually memory is allocated to, it is copied of an array. Okay, that's the thing. Now when we talk about another important feature of array, it is called masking. So we know that array can be indexed using the method of masking. The masking is a way to define the indices as a separate object and generate a new array from the original array using mask as a rule. So there are two ways that array can be masked. One is called fancy indexing and other is called indexing using boolean values. It is important to note that masking method generate copies instead of views. Okay. In the previous slides, we have talked about slicing, and this is masking. Slicing is totally different. It is not equivalent to masking. Okay. It is important to note that slicing and masking are different, and there are two type of masking, that is fancy indexing, and the second is indexing using Boolean value. So now let's talk about fancy. Uh, so fancy indexing is a quite unique function, that is NumPy offers quite unique indexing facilities, and one of it is fancy indexing, where an array of indexes can be used to generate an array of elements. Okay. Let us check what the fancy indexing means using an example. Now as you can see, first of all let me clear the command window. Okay, now I will generate an array A. So here I have generated cubes of first 1000 numbers. Okay, first 1000 cubes, generate cubes of first 1000 cubes. So it will generate an A with 1000 raised to 3. Okay. Now I used to generate an array for the first 10 numbers starting from 0 to 9. Okay, in here I have used A for generating array A of first 1000 number of cube. Now I want to generate an array I for first 10 numbers. So what I will do, okay, and this will be okay. So A and I are generated. Okay, let's see what is A. So it is this. It is a huge array of 1000 number, and array I will be this. Okay. So now of those elements of array A which has indices of elements of value of I, let's say A bracket I. So this is I am doing an indexing. So I is an indexing. So I is nothing but from 1 to 10. Okay. So I am using A of I is an indexing. The output will be 0 cube, 1 cube, 2 cube, 3 cube, up to 9. That is 729. In a similar manner, let's say I have another array J. I have another array J which is from number 0 to 50, but it is from number 0 to 50 with size 10, with a step size of 10. Okay, with I will give it a name J. So J will be 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. Now here, instead of writing AI, now I will go for AJ, and the output will be 0, 1000, 8000, 27,000, 60. So in this manner, a fancy indexing can be done. It is a very crucial part. You can also use a multi-dimensional array for indexing too. For example, let me say that I generate an array K, a multi-dimensional array K. Okay, multi-dimensional array K with elements, let's say 2-dimensional array. And I will write this number. So K is actually 1 to 11, 12. So what happens when in this particular thing I index it with K, the output will be 1, 8, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1. So this type of indexing is also useful when you perform operation of looping type of thing, or you go for another purpose like image processing kind of thing, or Python, where you have to select a selected region of interest in this type of. At that time, the fancy indexing is one of the major parts used. The next important part will be the next important type of masking is the indexing view to Boolean array. So indexing using integers specifies the position of the element. Okay, so by using fancy indexing we can pick up those particular elements. This is done with different philosophy when used when using boolean data type for indexing. Here boolean value true, which means that an array should become a part of final array, and the value false indicates that array means the element should not become a part of array. Okay, so the boolean array is similar to fancy indexing, but it uses a different philosophy. Let us understand by this an example which will be more facilitating to us. Okay, so let me just open the Python console and let me just clear this screen first. Okay, now let us generate an array of 100 elements, we say, and then convert it into a 10 by 10 array, that is a 10 cross 10 matrix, for example. So our aim is to make array with even numbers of elements and make a 5 by 10 matrix out of it. Okay, so as you can see, as the REPL representation is this 0 to 99. Now out of this I want to generate an for using indexing with boolean arrays. First of all, I will generate another array, that is array b. So b will be something like this, and it will now when uh, b will be something like that, which is not equal to 0. So b is a now store a matrix of boolean values where the value is true when the element of a is divisible by 2, and the value is false when the element is not divisible by 2. Okay, and we have to reshape it by 510 operator. Now we will do this slicing operation in it b, and I will reshape it in 5 by 10 size. Okay, so it will give me elements with even arrays. So this is the example for understanding the indexing with boolean algebra. Let us proceed further to our next slide, that is arrays and matrices. So even though the Python object ND array or simple arrays looks like defining matrices, they are not the same. Arrays perform element-wise operators well, but they do not reflect the same behavior as that of matrix operations, which are defined in linear algebra. So matrix objects can be defined using numpy.matrix function. A numpy.matrix is a specialized 2D array that retains its 2D nature through operations. Certain spatial operators such as multiplication of matrices or matrix power are defined for them. So let us demonstrate it in our Python console. First I will clear the screen. Now I will generate an array similar to the previous example, array A, which has a range from 0 to 10. Okay, and I will reshape it to into 2 by 5 matrix. So A is from 0 to 9. Now you know what is the type of this matrix, array. So this is anti array. Okay. Now we will define array B, which is similar from array A, that is like broadcasting type of thing. So B is equal to numpy dot matrix of A. So now B is a matrix. The major difference is, the first difference which is in the output is array and matrix, both are different. Second one is type. So the type of B will be numpy matrix. So this is just a simple example. So mathematical operations like multiplications or matrix multiplication, dot or cross product are defined by the data type. Okay, let me clear it. Okay, now suppose I have an array of range 0 to 12, that is to 11, and I will just reshape it into 3 to 4. Okay, so this is an array. Now a array is nothing but this stores a 3 by 4 arrays of number. Okay, so this is an array. Now I will make a copy with a array 1, which is a copy of a array. Okay, just for understanding purpose. Now I want to perform a sum of two arrays, produce a new array where element wise operation, that is addition, is performed. Here we are doing addition. You can go for a similar type of thing. So sum array, sum of array, that is sum array. It is a variable, and then we will add two variables, array a array and a array 1. Okay, or you can add only two array, a array and array, the same. So sum of array will be like an REPL representation will be like this. It will be the double of this. Similarly, you can go for a scalar product, of array, okay, which is element wise multiplication. And here you can see the scalar product is as an output. It's a multiplication with 3. Okay, now this is the operation which you have done for array. Now let us check about matrix. In matrix, let me define this a array instead of I will name a matrix, which is a numpy matrix of a array. Okay, now a matrix will be in our representation 0 to 11 by default. Now I want to do a sum of matrix A and this sum of array, that is matrix A, and the similar operation which I have done for array, I will do it for matrix. Okay, let me write sum matrix equal to a matrix plus a matrix. So the sum matrix will be this. Now let me do the scalar multiplication, which we have already done in the previous example for matrix. Scalar multiplication for matrix, and the output will be similar to the previous one m in this example. So if you want to check the transpose of array, we can use the dot t transpose of array, that is rows and are copied and exchange, columns are copied and exchanged. Let us check what is. So this is a transpose of array. Similarly, matrix transpose can also be done, which we have defined already, that a matrix dot t here perform the transpose operation, and here you want to check the result. The results are almost the same. If you want to check the dot operation, dot product, okay, we can use numpy dot function. First of all, let us check about array. So dot array is this dot product of array and matrices. Similarly, if I go for matrices, the output will be the same. That is the same. So almost yeah, we have checked that until now the matrix has behaved exactly the same as of an array. So a common question that arises in your mind of a programmers or a view is that whether this we had an array object. Okay, we already have an array object. Why? What is the need of a matrix? So the answer is quite complex. Not complex, but it is a quite tricky one. Okay, so since we have array, why do we need a matrix? So while array serves most of the general purpose of matrix algebra, matrix is written to facilitate linear algebra functionalities. So the linear algebra is performed using a submodule of NumPy, which is accessed as numpy.linalg, linalg. Issuing the command help numpy.linalg gives you an idea about the purpose of this module. Okay, the some of the functions which are available in this module are here as shown in the slide. For matrix algebra, from matrix algebra point of view, solve function is used to solve system of linear equation. Norm function is used to find norm of matrices. INV, that is inverse, is the function to find matrix inverse of a square matrix. P inverse, PINV, that is to find pseudo inverse of any matrix, that is non-square matrix 2. Matrix power, that is to perform an integer power of a square matrix. So these are the functions that are available for linear algebra, so which we will explore in our further chapters when we go for numerical integration, or when we go for solving Python problems. To perform linear algebra calculation using matrices, it is suggested that the matrix object is used to avoid errors. So it is not advisable to use the array every time. Dot array module, you have to use matrix or module whenever you want to perform a algebra calculation, or whenever there is matrix operations are involved, to avoid errors. So let's move further to some basic operations of array. So those basic operations which we are going to discuss here are sum operation, minimum and maximum operation, some statistical operation, that is mean, median and standard deviation, the sorting operation for normal number and complex number, rounding of operation using a round function, S array and S matrix operations. Okay, so let us check this one by one with an example in our Python module console. First of all, let me clear this screen, and now let us check how to do this operations. For example, let me just create a array uh, for creating an array. That is sum of operation. Create an array a that is a arrange 25 numbers, the first 25 numbers of system. Now I want to find the sum of this number, so I will write sum of a and it will give me an output. Okay, similarly let me generate another array b, which is an array of 2 dimensions, that is 2 cross 2. Let me divide into 5 by 5 matrix. Okay, SHAP. Okay, so B is this. Now if I want to do sum of this, I will get a single dimension array here. Sum of B will be a row array or a column array. It will be a 1 cross n matrix array, sorry, not matrix. In the similar manner, you can also calculate the minimum and maximum value. To calculate the minimum value, you can go for a dot minimum, and you will get the minimum out function. The minimum function will give you the minimum output, and similarly the maximum function will give you a maximum output of the array. If you want to check minimum or maximum of a particular axis, okay, then in this for example axis you can write axis 0, so it will give me an output of this a dot max axis equal to 0. A maximum, if you want to check whether it is for example axis equal to, for example if you want to go for row, it will give me, okay, there is some Access1 is out of bounds because A is not a uh, not a 2 cross 2 matrix or 2 cross 5 matrix. Okay, but instead of this, if I work on B, if I say it is B, then it will give me an error. Similarly, if I go for B maximum access of 0, then it will give me similar type of once maximum in each column we can use using access 0, and maximum in each row we can use using access 1 equal to 1. Okay, now let us do similar type of example. Let me clear this screen. If you want to calculate mean of B is a n cross m array, so you have to write numpy dot mean, and you can get mean of B, that is 12. Similarly, you can go for median and you will get an output. So the difference here is not how we are showing that how to calculate mean and median. Similarly, you can go for standard deviation of mean. You can just write of all values of standard deviation of p, you can write STD and you will get a standard deviation. So let me clear it. Now if you want to check the sorting operation, the sort of maximum values from minimum to maximum or maximum to minimum, by default is sort from maximum to minimum. Okay, so let me just generate an array with random numbers on which we can perform this operation. So let us say a is an random number of 3 into 4. So as you can see, a is this uh, not sorted in proper manner. If you want to sort, you can just write numpy dot sort, and then numpy dot sort, and I will write here a. So the output will now be sorted from minimum to maximum. Okay, now in the similar manner, if you want to sort along columns, okay, here is a 3 cross 4 matrix. If you want to sort along columns, in the previous example, as we have done in maximum and minimum, you can write axis equal to 1 or 0. You can sort along columns or rows. Okay, similarly, if you want to go for rows, you can write 0 and it will sort along rows. Okay, a variety of sorting algorithm exists. The choice of the algorithm can depend on the requirement for average speed, worst case scenario, or workspace size and stability. NumPy documentation at this list 3 choices as follows. Okay, so sorting an array is a complex number is accomplished by sort underscore complex. So let us first generate a complex array. Okay, first of all, let me clear this window screen and let me just generate a complex array. Now here a is a complex array. Now if I want to sort instead of numpy dot sort a, I will write numpy sort complex underscore complex. Okay, and the output will be arranged as from minimum to maximum, which is by default. Now just to make it sure that numpy arranges the output from minimum to maximum by default. Okay, from minimum to maximum. Rounding of number is performed by function around using a round function, which a round function that we have already shown you. Now let us perform a simple example of a round function. Let me generate a random array a, random array a with 10 elements, and this a is a randomly number. Now I want to generate rounding of this array, so I will write numpy dot around of a, and it will round off to the as per our type. Here it has given a float type of something. If I want to know its integer type, you can write with this particular syntax, you can add ASTYPE. So I want an array output in type int, and it will give me an output in type int. Okay, hope it is understandable. So the next functions are ASArray and ASMatrix. So variety of variable is not defined as array, but if at a certain point of time during computation they need to be considered as an array or as a matrix, we use the function ASArray and ASMatrix, which can be used as demonstrated follow. Okay, now let me clear the screen first, and the first example we will take about ASArray. Okay. Now let me say we have an a comma b comma c comma d. Here we have a simple example of this, which is equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Okay, this is abcd. Now let us define array 1. Okay, with elements. If I want to define this element, this abcd is not an array, it is not an array. I want to define it as an array, so I will define it as an array. For example, array 1 is equal to number as array abcd. So array 1 will be now an array of 1 2 3 4. Similarly, I can go for matrix in similar manner. If I go for matrix, if I want to define this numerals as a matrix, I can define it as a matrix, and matrix 1 will be 1 2 3 4. For example, if I write a string hello world, which is just a string. Okay, this is just a string. It is not array, it is just an element variable with hello world in it as its content. If I want to define it as an array, okay, what I will do, I will generate an array 2. As an array, I want to define this string, a particular string, as a, so I will write numpy.asArray, and in bracket I will write string. Okay, and the array 2 will be hello world, and with data type is u11 encoded. So this is just an example which, with 11 characters. You can use any type of in between during computation. If you want to generate an array, you can use ASArray function. In matrix, you can use ASMatrix function. So this is the end of our chapter here about lecture on arrays Python. So array-based computation is used as a primary force to solve equation and system of equation using slicing and indexing operations. It provides powerful tools to manipulate data using a program. But since we are using interactive text on Python, and discussion about all the function and indexing and slicing is out of scope here, but I recommend you and encourage you that you please go through different open materials that is available, open source materials available on Python, and you can go forward and you can ask your doubts to me. Discussing all these facilities on array multiplication and manipulation that are present in NumPy is beyond our scope of this lecture series. Moreover, new functionalities are added within each new version, moving from Python 2 to 3, 3.5 to 3.78. Okay. However, some quite important function has been discussed here. Besides this, Python's ability to flexibly create a variety of array and to compute using various mathematical functions make it one of the most preferred language in the field of computational physics and mathematics. Another fact that make it preferable programming language among members of scientific community is its ability to plot publication quality graphs with relative ease, and this we will discuss in our next lecture. So our next lecture will be on plotting, and we will be using Google Colab platform for that, since as it would be multi-line code and it would be easy if we perform over Colab function. So thank you for now. Enjoy learning. Happy learning. We'll meet you in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye.